What up, shapeshifters? Welcome to Paradigm Shift. The purpose of this channel is to help me. When I was 21, 250 pounds, and suicidal, thinking the world was against me and that nothing was my fault, everything was just bad luck or nonsense. But that's not the reality of the situation. If lack of information were the problem, we would all be billionaires with six-pack abs. The problem isn't not having the information. The problem is knowing what to do with it, what to act on. As a coach, I am here to instill a sense of purpose by helping you get your body back, helping you find who you are, and for maybe once in your life, prioritizing mental health. Because the matrimony between a healthy mind and a healthy body brings this calmness and peace and this self-resiliency that turns into true superpowers. That is what I'm here to help you cultivate. These skills and tools that you can share with others, specifically your family, and cultivate a better environment. In the words of Bruce Lee, we must become like water. We must be able to go with the flow, to ride the waves of life. Nothing is always good and nothing is always bad. To have a hormonal balance is truly life-changing. By subscribing and commenting, I hereby take on the role as your coach. And as your coach, let's get into it. What we're gonna do is essentially collect the data. We all know that companies are spending millions of dollars collecting every data point on us. Now we need to do a little bit of the same with ourselves. We need to have some metrics to track, not for nonsensical reasons, because everything has a number association, from what size shoes, what size clothes, to the roller coaster seat dimensions. They all have numbers, they can all be worked out and calculated and reverse engineered. And that is what I do for not only myself on a daily basis, weekly basis, on an evaluation basis, but for all my clients. And it is quite fun to do once you understand the process. And I'll teach you how to do it for your family, etc. So let's get into it. First up on the client checklist is their weigh-in. So this weigh-in is not by any means the only number we're gonna look at. It's not the focus of even our training plan. This number is a data point that we can reference and plot our rate of change through different aspects of what we're eliminating, what we're implementing. This is useful, but do not get too stuck up on whatever number you are. Honestly, the bigger you are, the easier it is to lose weight. So take it for what it is. And number two, we got measurements. It's a little sewing tape that I use. I'm gonna show you the points where we measure. And again, we're gonna plot the rate of change. This is another super useful metric for understanding proportions of your own physique and knowing that everything's getting worked properly and imbalances are not being created through ignorance. This is a crucial step to training. Next up on the client checklist is figuring out their resting heart rate, your resting heart rate. I have a heart rate monitor here, but there's easier ways to go about. Well, no, there aren't easier ways. There's a cheaper way to go about it, which is grabbing a pulse, counting that beat over 15 seconds, multiply it by 4, count it over 10 seconds, times it by 6. You get it, hopefully. And when just confidently arrive at that number and plot it, log it, because we're gonna address the rate of change. The idea with a resting heart rate is that you should not be working so hard at rest. That causes deterioration on the system, and it's essentially you breaking down earlier. It's the muscles fatiguing around your heart. It's the ability to do all the mechanics that you have no conscious control over. Yes, you can breathe on command and etc., but everything else, you are a passenger in a system that needs to be calibrated for you to get to the destination successfully. One thing I want to say, life is not a race to the finish line. Take your time, smell the roses, dance a little on the way, help someone, share something, try something new. Don't get too stuck in your ways. Don't get too regimented on really anything. I just want to say that life is not a race to the finish line. Next up on my client checklist is the postural assessment and their range of movement. What this looks like is a test to where I have knowledge about your movement pattern before I ask you to do an exercise. For instance, my right rotator cuff has been dislocated a number of times, and it took me a long time to be able to shoulder press properly, to be able to bench, to be able to do normal biomechanical movements with a strength pattern. To give you an example of this, when squatting, I'm 6 feet. Your femur length over about 5'10" results in a squat where you essentially need heel elevation. And this is not a cheat squat. This is not any sort of cheat. This is functional patterns. This is normal movement and biomechanics. If I were to squat flat-footed, I'm gonna fall backwards. It's not until I have some heel elevation where I can squat in a proper position with a loaded barbell or loaded weight, even a dumbbell. I can squat flat-footed, but I need to put my arms in center of gravity so far forward that it is not a functional movement pattern. I can demonstrate it here, stay center, and I'll just drop into a normal squat. There's a barbell here. It's every single time. And I've taught this and explained this to clients and people, normal gym goers, or 5 years and it shocks them still. Next up, and arguably the most important test, is figuring out our blood glucose. How sugary of an environment are we living in? This is a super important metric for not only if you're pre-diabetic or discovering that you're pre-diabetic, if you are diabetic. So what your blood glucose has the ability to tell you, and the factors that come into play off of understanding the number. We know what we need to target in your diet. We know what we need to look for. We know what we need to cut out. I can know when you're eating. I can know how much you're eating. I can know how routinely you're eating. I can know if you're actually sticking to the plan. Your body's full of markers and they're all telling you what to do. But it's not until you can achieve this state of meditation and where you feel like listening to those cues aren't a waste of your time, but essentially the best use of your time. That's a paradigm shift that comes later, but I will help you get there. Really quick, I want to talk about a series I'm going to be doing about books that have changed my life and what I've learned a lot from. One of the books I'm going to start it off with is The Obesity Code by Jason Fung. There's an analogy in here that I read about 5 years ago that has stuck with me and that I share every chance I get with someone who's willing to hear, who will benefit them, which is generally everybody. We'll get stuck into it later, but the point, the general gist, this analogy is understanding calories as the currency of the body. Let's say you're making $100,000 a year and you take a hit on your income. Your expenditure is also going to take a hit because you're not stupid. You don't want to end up bankrupt. You don't want to deplete all your resources. That when money coming in decreases, money going out decreases. And it's the same correlation with calories. If we decrease the amount of calories going in, our body says there's a clog in the pipeline of life-sustaining vitamins and minerals. We therefore have to expend less. And this is where the plateaus come in. This is where the mental fatigue of what you're doing really starts to take its toll on you. So we're not going to skip meals. We're not going to do any crazy cuts. That is not how you achieve lasting results. Last things last. To wrap this video up with something I think is very useful, I will link my protein shake recipe on screen. This was a staple. It was really big when I was cutting all the sweet sugary things because I would blend it with a lot of ice and make it like an ice cream. If you would like a discount on your protein, or you need a quality source of creatine, protein, different vitamins, minerals, proper options, fantastic clothing, I have an affiliate link in the description. And thanks for watching. If this information is valuable, if it connects with you, if it resonates, please subscribe, like, comment, engage with the channel. I'll help you guys in any way possible. Check the links in the description. Join the community. Become a shapeshifter.